Hey folks, today we're going to at last be getting our modding hats out for the Corsair 1000D project, but we're starting small. Now, big builds are composed of lots of little details, so let's have a look at one now. You may recall that Watercool are providing the CPU and GPU blocks for this build, so it made sense to pay a little bit of attention to the Heatkiller 4 Pro water block that will be sitting proudly on top of the Threadripper 1950X in our system. We've opted for the acrylic version so that the coloured coolant will be visible. Plus, another argy-bargy possibility always helps too, being 2018 and all. The problem though, is that block only comes with an anodised black or red bracket in stock. Whilst Watercool were happy to provide a raw, untreated one for us, the dates for the next production run meant it would kind of run in with some additional deadline pressure, so we decided to play it safe and got a stock one. Our intention is to have it match the polished nickel GPU blocks along with the other polished aluminium parts in the build. That means stripping this anodization layer off and buffing up that block. Now the first choice was to chemically strip the layer from the block. Now you can use a sodium hydroxide solution such as found in strong oven cleaners to do this quite easily. The problem though is that this part has threads in it and they hold the whole block together. Now I wasn't comfortable with the idea that the threads might be eaten away by the solution and become easier to strip when tightening. Yeah, I could just re-tap them to a larger gauge, but the risk didn't seem worth it since that would mean drilling through the whole block, including the acrylic section, which is likely to crack. Instead, I decided to simply sand the coating off. To do this, I used a random orbital sander, beginning with 180 grit and working my way up to 2K. I started on low grit so that the layer would be removed fast, reducing the chances of warping the surface from uneven pressure and similar. Do note that this method will soften those machined edges though. I want this so that they're more rounded and catch the light. But if you don't, however, you can do this by hand with sandpaper affixed to a flat surface like a countertop or a sheet of glass. That will help a lot to keep things crisp. You simply move the actual part itself rather than the paper, and just be very careful to keep things level. The majority of the work here is sanding. It's important to be thorough and careful. If you skip grits, then the finish won't be smooth later. Best be methodical and take your time. See, now we're at the good bit. It's time to polish this beauty up. Now, since this project requires a lot of polishing, I figured it would be a good idea finally to get a proper buffing wheel set up. It's hard to describe just how much faster this has made the polishing step. Previously I would have done it all by hand or with an attachment on a drill or a Dremel. Obviously, you can still do it by hand, it will just take longer, but the results can still be really impressive. For the polishing itself, I used a mild polishing compound on a hard cotton wheel. That worked the surface and brought out quite a nice shine. I then finished it up on a loose cotton wheel with a finer compound applied. Now that's more like it. All in all, I was really happy with how this block came out. The polished look should complement the build and the other components nicely. It's also the sort of mod that can be done with a lot of products on the market right now without much tooling, making it ideal for trying at home. Next update, we're hoping to bring you some proper meat. I'll be taking the case apart as well as showing some of the design work that's gone into it. So catch you then, and don't forget to check out the written article for this video in the description.